Good morning. This is Bill from Curious Cars on it's kind of a miserable Florida Tuesday morning. In, I don't know what the hell month this is. What is this, April? No, it's not April. It's actually still March. But you know what? It's getting warm. It's getting warm here. The mornings are decent. The evenings are decent. But the day is hot, and, even though you can enjoy the morning and the evening, you know what's coming. You know that summer's right around the corner. The end of season is nigh, and the miserable swamp-like, mosquito-inducing heat death wave is on the way, and it's not going to be deterred. So this is not my favorite time of the year. Some way the waiting, the apprehension, it's worse than when it actually hits, and there it is. So I know it's coming. The suspense, it's a Hitchcock thing. Anyway, I'm here deep in the bowels of Penelope's shop with Peter's tractor, which is a weird clashing of two worlds. And I can't say that I'm a big fan of it. I'm not going to get into how it happened, but it has to do with me and Peter and obviously, because that's where I'm at. And Penelope was kind enough to loan the shop for doing this. So we're going to do this tractor here. And what it is a 1959 Porsche-Diesel Super Tractor. And that Porsche-Diesel thing is not, it is descriptive, but it's also the exact brand name, which we'll get into why. It's not just Porsche, it's Porsche-Diesel. Real quick news, the auction was, I did that premiere auction. I ran a bunch of cars through. I can't say it did great for me, but I got rid of some stuff, and that was key. That's what I needed to do. So mission accomplished, at least on that front, even if I took a severe beating. I ended up buying a Cadillac because I needed a driver. Need is a strong word, but I wanted one. I got Chris, the worst human on earth. He took my truck to deliver some cars to the auction. He was supposed to leave me the keys to his Tahoe, and because Chris is the most paranoid, womanly person on earth, he lives in terror of things. So oh my God, someone's going to break in my truck. I mean, we don't leave our keys in the truck, and gold bars, if I had any, I'd put them on the dash. There's just no real crime in front of the shop, but Chris locks everything up, put the keys in his pocket, and I found myself without a ride unless I wanted to take like that Pinto home or one of the other broken cars. So I thought, man, I'm going to buy something at this auction that's cheap, that I can drive when I need to, and I ended up with that Cadillac, and we'll do a video on it at some point. Springtime edition. Springtime for Hitler, as they say, and of course that's a pretty good segue into this tractor. So let's just keep going on that. First of all, what is a tractor? All right, what's an agricultural or industrial vehicle specifically designed to deliver high torque pull at slow speeds, and it's for the purposes of short hauling, big heavy trailers or machinery. It mostly refers to a farm vehicle because that's where it's really going to get used. It provides the power and traction to mechanize agricultural tasks. God, I feel like Wikipedia, but that's what it is. I mean, basically, it's to make a farmer's life easier. It makes, it's obviously historically a fairly recent invention, within the last 150 years or so, and it's helped things out dramatically. They do all kinds of extra shit now, but when it came out, basically its purpose was tillage, tilling the soil, and you can tow stuff behind it. You can also mount stuff on it, and it can actually provide power through PTOs in the front and the back. Power transfer, whatever the hell. Anyway, I'll get into it, for other industrial equipment. So it's extremely useful. One of the most famous tractors is the Ford N Series, which came out in 1939 and basically just revolutionized agriculture. It replaced the ox, the horse, the mule, or even the strength of the farmer himself. And frankly, it smelled a whole lot better while it did it. So it was a pretty big deal, and it changed everything, and it made farms more productive and made a farmer's life a little bit easier. He could become an old drunk or play baseball or, do whatever the hell farmers do when they're not farming. Speaking of 39, by the way, and here yet again, and I don't know why this happens to me, but I find myself in Nazi Germany. This time, everyone's favorite engineer, Ferdinand Porsche, is talking tractors with the Fuhrer himself. They meet, they've already met and they've already come up with the Strength Through Joy car, what would become the Volkswagen Beetle. And Hitler wanted German farms and farmers to benefit from the same kind of motorization. So kind of makes you wonder where Henry Ford got his ideas, or, maybe where Hitler did. Anyway, they decided to build and design a stern German tractor, which would be inexpensive, built on an assembly line, very capable and very easy to maintain. And it would be called the Volksschlepper, which honestly sounds a lot cooler in German than English. I mean, finally a German word that I can sink my teeth into, the Volksschlepper. Absolutely love that. And Ferdinand, he had designed and built tractors before. The first being an artillery tractor in 1914 for World War I. Peaceful guy, Dr. Porsche, but by all accounts, he appeared to love farm equipment at least as much as he did Nazism, and decided, he had the motivation to make a tractor that wouldn't at least intentionally kill people, but, if a few were to die accidentally, I guess that would be okay with him. But anyway, look, the Hitler meeting happened in 1937, and a rolling unit finally emerged in 1939. And it was gas-powered. Diesel was always the intention, but they had to start somewhere. Unfortunately, in 39, Hitler ended up needing Tiger tanks a hell of a lot more than farm tractors, so production of the thing was shelved, basically, and never really started before the war, so the Volksschlepper would have to wait. Fast forward to the immediate aftermath of the war, and Germany is reeling. They've been bombed to the Middle Ages. Their factories are in ruin, the country's in ruin, it needs to rebuild. There's a dire need for equipment, both building material and farm equipment, and companies were racing to get into it, because of course military production ended, so you don't need that much of that anymore. You better get into something that's going to keep the ball rolling. Dr. Porsche desperately wanted to take part in that because he needed the money for making that 356 derivative, that the sports car that was based on the Beetle. It would end up becoming the 911, and as luck would have it, Penelope's got a couple hanging around here. So that 911 was going to depend on the tractor. Unfortunately, there was a reconstruction rule that any company that didn't make tractors before the war couldn't start building them after. So Porsche had little choice but to license his name and designs to a couple of companies. A guy in a company named Erwin Allgeier in Germany, and in Austria, a company called Hofherr Schrantz. And you'll have to forgive me, my German, despite hanging out with Germans, even horrible Germans, has never been very good, and I'm not good with the pronunciation. I should get Ulf here, by the way, who was attacked by a duck. I'd like to just reiterate that. And he could probably translate some of this for me. But anyway, they started with the gasoline-powered tractors while the diesels were being developed, and by all accounts, they seemed to be pretty good tractors. Sold reasonably well and competed with other European tractor powerhouses like Renault and Lamborghini. That's, we need to get one of those too. Shame I don't have one for this video. And then in 1955, Allgeier decided to shift production to sheet metal and other building equipment, so Porsche needed a new licensee to build the tractors, and he went to a company called Mannesmann. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but it kills me. So Mannesmann agreed to produce it. They're a very big company. They created the name Porsche-Diesel, which is where we get this, and they started to produce several different units, and this started in 1952 was the first one, 51, something like that. They would produce them all the way up to 1963, and all in all, about 125,000 of these things were made. Far from plowing the fields anymore or rolling over drunken farmers, these tractors are now the purview of collectors and Porsche enthusiasts. You know, if you have a big building full of fancy collectible Porsches, you might as well have a tractor, you know, sitting next to your restored 550 Spider or Lowenbrow 956. It's a bit of lovely fluff for a collection, and it's useful in a hurricane or apocalypse, so it's kind of a win-win thing. There were 2, 3, and 4-cylinder air-cooled diesels by the time, you know, the time this one came out, and they were really rolling. They did extremely well. They went from being like 5th in the market to 2nd because they just became pretty damn good tractors. They used independent cylinder heads for cheap parts and easy repairs. That PTO, you see it there in the front. That spins with the crankshaft of the tractor and can actually power whatever equipment you hook up to it, like I don't know farm. A thrasher sounds right. I think people are always losing their arms in those. But anyway, this thing will run that, and that's part of what did it. So it also had a hydraulic coupling instead of a clutch. The thing doesn't have a clutch. And the reason being that Porsche and Hitler apparently thought that peasants wouldn't be able to use a clutch. I don't know where, you know, it shows you the disconnect of the elitists. I mean, if anybody can use a clutch, it's a friggin' redneck. And, you know, Germany has their share, and I'm sure they would have been just fine with it. Probably operate a clutch better than Hitler ever did. But anyway, so it uses this weird sort of hydraulic coupling, so you don't have to clutch in while you're shifting gears. They use these enormous diameter rear wheels, tractors do in general, because with the low torque that, you know, the engine has to have the torque to actually turn them, but assuming it does, that thing ain't getting stuck anywhere. I mean, it's going to go through the worst slop in a field without breathing twice, even if it's towing something. And of course, that's the reason for the giant rear wheels on tractors. And of course, the fronts are, you know, they're enough to be what they are. Eventually, they'd make 4-wheel drive ones. I know Porsche had designs for that, but I don't think he ever did. Anyway, look, I'm going to pause there for a minute, and I still have to do the Bring a Trailer video. I'm putting this up there on Bring a Trailer, and I don't know that they want to hear all about Hitler and that sort of thing, so I'm going to have to do another 5-minute video for that. And then I'll get back and I'll drive the thing, and we'll see how it goes. So bear with me one moment. Alright, so let me give you a quick look under the hood while I got this thing up, because it's a pain in the ass to do while holding the camera. First of all, you can see that really cool stainless exhaust. That is really neat shit. I don't know who made that or if it's made for this, but it's a thing of beauty. You can see it's a 3-cylinder air-cooled diesel in there. About 2,500 cc, a little bit under, not quite 40 horsepower, but close to it. And the way this was designed, which was very important to Porsche and, of course, Adolf Hitler, is that it would be cheap and simple to maintain and easy to fix so it could stay running and stay producing. And you see it as independent cylinder heads, so they can be changed independent of each other very quickly. It also helps with production. You can use the same cylinder heads on a 2, 3, or 4 cylinder, which they had, and it all works out really well. So very, very cool stuff. Looking good under there. You can see the cooling fan, big electric motor, you know, PTO there at the front. What can one say? It's a tractor. Very cool stuff. So I'm going to pause it there, come back in a minute or two, and we'll take it for a drive. Bear with me. All right, enough planes flying overhead, but let's just take this thing for a drive. God, I like that old tow truck, man. That is a future resto project, and we really need to get to that thing. That is just cool. All right, but anyway, driving the Porsche-Diesel Tractor. So let me get up here in it. Which at my age, I don't know how these farmers did. Oh, God. All right, we'll have a look over at the controls. Kind of an interesting long vista when you're sitting here. You know, I feel like I'm in sort of a Formula One car, except not, because I think their wheel would be a little bit more racy than this one. Over here, you've got the e-brake. You've got That's also a brake that you use instead of the clutch. I'll get into brake over here. Actually, that's the fuel here. That's a brake. That's a brake. So we got 4 places to brake, and one push for fuel and one lever for fuel. Gauges are quite simple. You see, we actually have a km/h gauge, and this thing's supposed to be fast. You got a temp gauge, and I guess that's all you really need. And a series of, warning lights and indicators and that sort of thing that I honestly don't really know. I just know enough to run it and drive it. So to do that, you push this key in. See, we got some ignition lights there. I'm going to put it in the 1 position. I'm going to give myself some fuel here. That's in the off. I get about halfway back. This is glow plug, so I'm going to pull that for a few seconds to warm it up. Let me make sure I'm in neutral here. And before it's running, it does have this hydraulic coupling between the engine and drive end of it instead of a clutch. So, that's kind of an interesting feature, and we'll see how it works. But anyway, let's give it a little bit of a glow plug. 10 seconds. And crank it to life. Yeah, there it is. It runs pretty good. So I can pump it up here. Reverse is over and up. I think first is just straight ahead, and I believe this is a 4-speed. So here's my brake. Here's first, and away we go. Oh God, please don't let me crash into anything. Yeah, and it feels pretty fast for being up here. Interesting ride height for your friend there on the bench next to you. I think if I was with my lady friend, I'd prefer to have her drive while I sat there, but I won't necessarily get into why. Alright, let's try second. Holy shit. Yeah, alright, well that's a little bit too fast for my liking, but you see how it works. I'm not even going to dream about 34. This is terrifying. All I can think about are those people who roll over on their tractors. Let's see third. Yeah, this thing's moving a lot faster than I like. This one, so let me stop it, get back into a nice creepy crawler gear like first. That even feels fast. Now we'll get back to the house. It doesn't exactly turn on a dime. the air conditioning. First feels slow, it goes fast as up. Shit. Oh boy. Alright, hold on. Yeah, you really got to do this right, or the Germans don't appreciate it. Alright, there it is. Done. Tractor has been driven. And I am going to go cheerfully park it now. So thank you very much for having a look. Really appreciate it, and we will see you with the next one. Take care.